welcome to another episode of Raw Radiant Health, and I'm Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me. So I got an email this morning from Stephanie on Facebook, and she asked me a great question. She was asking me about if I had any suggestions about dealing with people that don't support your diet and makes your life a little bit miserable because of it. What do you do? And I thought that's a great question, because if anyone ever goes onto a raw food diet, at some point or another you are going to face some sort of resistance from someone, whether it's a complete stranger or someone that's been very, very close to you. And sometimes it can be quite the challenge, because you know what you're doing is right, you feel great, everything is coming together in your life, and then you have this like one little dark shadow in your life that is like just pulling you down and is not supporting you and makes you feel bad and makes you doubt and can turn things kind of upside down. And you can even have people that go to the extent of like even trying to like lure you back into eating like junk food. I mean, this stuff happens. People do a lot of strange things. One thing that I just want to stress to anyone first is to acknowledge that we as human beings are very attached to our food. We're very, very, very attached to our food, especially our comfort foods and our foods that taste really good and those foods that are always there for us. We love our food, and I think sometimes people feel threatened when their best friend or their family member or their partner suddenly changes their diet, because suddenly they're afraid that they're going to also impose those changes on us. And no one wants that, and sometimes that does happen. So I think the main thing is always remember that to most people, food is really important to them, and they don't want to have to change it unless they decide to do that themselves. And also, people love habit and routine and things to be consistent. That a lot of times too is that when someone really close to them changes their diet, suddenly that means that their lifestyle has to change as well. Because let's say this is your best friend that you used to go and have fast food pizza with every Friday night, right? And went out and had a beer afterwards, and suddenly you're saying, no, I'm eating raw, I can't do this anymore. And the friend is like, well, who am I going to go and hang out with? Does that mean you're not going to come and have pizza and beer with me every Friday night? And so people can feel like they've been left on the wayside because you decided to change your diet. So that's one thing I just want to point out, is that, we all have different relationships with food. Some people, it's like take it or leave it, and some people, their whole life revolves around food. Everything has to do with food, and no one likes change. So just remember that when people act funny or they become mean or they don't like what you're doing, just remember that it does somehow affect them as well, okay? The main thing is with people and them criticizing you and not supporting you is either they're coming from the side where they're concerned, okay, that they don't really understand raw foods, they don't understand vegetarianism or veganism, they just don't get it, okay? Like most people in North America have been told that meat and potatoes are the way to go. And for someone to go to the extent of being vegetarian is huge. And then to even go even further into being a raw vegan, it's like, this is like a whole other universe to them, that they're concerned because the information that they've gotten on nutrition a lot of times has come from TV, from advertisements, from old, outdated books, and, just government information. Pharmaceutical companies, this is where they're getting a lot of their nutrition education, is from the television set, which is, paid advertisements that they think is the be-all end-all. And that's why, you know, they're used to being told you got to have high protein, you've got to eat your animal meats, because if you don't, you're going to become frail and weak and anemic, and you're not going to be able to move. And so if they meet you and you're like, yeah, all I eat is fruits and vegetables, they might be very concerned, okay, because they don't know any better. And then you got the other side of things where you've got people in your life that for some reason are jealous or are intimidated or feel threatened. And that's why they react badly, is because they feel, you know, like for some reason it's like an ego thing, that they feel threatened by what you're doing because they're comparing themselves to you. And they feel that, you know, if you're one-upping them if you have a healthier diet. And no one likes that. No one likes their ego to be threatened. So suddenly if their friend or their child or their spouse or whatever it is eating healthier, for some reason it brings out the worst in people. And I've seen it. I have a friend of mine that every party I go with her, she'll announce to the party in a really vicious kind of way that I eat raw foods. And it's like, oh, did you know Natasha is eating raw foods? And it's not in a supportive way. It's a way to embarrass me. And I mean, it's terrible when she does it. But the funny thing is that what ends up happening is, you know, me, I want to just like hide in a hole when she announces it to everyone. But next thing you know, I get like at least 3 people that come up to me asking me for recipes. I usually end up getting like a coaching client from it or whatever. Even though she's out to embarrass me and put me down, it's funny how the reverse happens. And a lot of it is just through me just holding my ground and not being swayed. That's the main thing. It's like, people might not agree with what you're doing, but do you need their approval? And that's one thing you have to ask yourself, like, is everything you need to be doing, do you need everyone to say, yes, I give you the green light? If you know it's good for you, then do it. Because at the end of the day, what's most important is your health and your happiness. You know, if you're not healthy and happy, you're not going to be around for your family and friends. So it's something to remind people, is if people say negative stuff, you have to remind them, saying, look at me. Look how healthy I am. Do you remember how I was 2 years ago compared to now? I think I'm doing all right. Don't you think? That, and also one thing too is that people feel threatened when you're not eating cooked food or you're not partaking in that whole world. And if anyone knows from going to a dinner party or a party where there's a lot of food being served, the person behind the scenes that's making all this food is working really, really hard. And they want everyone to love their food. And they're always concerned about that one person that's not eating, because that means that that one person, for some reason, is not eating their food that they worked so hard to make. And you choose not to eat it, right? So what do? My suggestion is, like, I love the smell of food, right? Whenever I go to someone's home and they're cooking up beautiful food, go in the kitchen or go up to the food, and smell it and tell them how great it smells. And tell them how beautifully it's presented. Share your appreciation for all their hard work. And when you leave, tell them again how beautiful everything was. That just them hearing that, they don't care if you're eating it or not, as long as you acknowledge their efforts. So the main thing that I'm just trying to come across is, you know, it's, if you're not being supported, don't fight back, and never ever be the food police. That's like the #1 thing, is like, just be an example to people and just keep sparkling, keep radiating, keep being happy and healthy. I wish you guys a fabulous, fabulous day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!